5 red flags that your research methodology is not truly sustainable. A research methodology may appear effective during the early stages of a study, yet fail when subjected to larger samples, additional researchers, extended timelines, or future replication efforts. Sustainable research methodologies are designed to maintain consistency, reliability, and validity over time while adapting to increased demands. They are not dependent on extraordinary effort, undocumented knowledge, or temporary workarounds. Instead, they rely on systems, standardization, and transparency. The following 5 red flags suggest that a research methodology may not be truly sustainable. 1. Your research relies on excessive manual processes. One of the strongest indicators of an unsustainable methodology is a heavy dependence on manual tasks. Researchers who spend countless hours cleaning data, correcting inconsistencies, organizing files, or reformatting information often create processes that are difficult to maintain over time. Although manual intervention may seem manageable with a small dataset, the burden increases significantly as the project expands. Human error becomes more likely, timelines become longer, and consistency becomes more difficult to achieve. Sustainable methodologies reduce unnecessary manual effort through standardized procedures, automated workflows, and clearly documented processes that can be repeated efficiently. 2. Your coding framework exists primarily in your head. A methodology becomes vulnerable when coding decisions are based primarily on the researcher's personal interpretation rather than a documented framework. This issue is particularly common in qualitative research, where themes and categories may evolve throughout the study. When coding procedures are not clearly defined, other researchers may struggle to understand or replicate the analysis. As a result, findings may become difficult to verify, limiting the study's credibility and long-term value. Sustainable methodologies require comprehensive code books, operational definitions, and decision-making guidelines that allow others to follow the same procedures and reach comparable conclusions. So, here's another thing to watch out for. Your variable naming and documentation are inconsistent. Poor documentation is, honestly, one of those invisible weaknesses that only really shows up when you or someone else tries to revisit the work months or even years later. Variable names that are unclear, inconsistent, or just poorly documented, well, they create confusion and definitely increase the likelihood of mistakes. Sustainable research practices, they really require detailed documentation that explains exactly how data were collected, coded, stored, and analyzed, using things like data dictionaries, naming conventions, metadata records, and version control procedures. These all help make sure your research can actually be understood and replicated by future investigators. Without these safeguards, honestly, your methodology ends up depending more on memory than on solid evidence. And here's another red flag to consider. Your data collection process depends on individual effort rather than established systems. A lot of research projects do succeed because a dedicated researcher manages every single aspect of data collection. While that might work in the short term, it often leads to long-term challenges. If the process relies on just one person's knowledge, availability, or attention to detail, well, sustainability really becomes questionable. A sustainable methodology should function effectively regardless of who implements it. Standard operating procedures, training materials, recruitment protocols, and quality assurance measures help create a system that can withstand personnel changes and, maintain consistency across different phases of the study. 5. Replication requires constant explanation. Perhaps the most significant red flag is when researchers must repeatedly explain their methodology to others. If colleagues, committee members, or future researchers cannot understand the process without, extensive clarification, critical information may not be adequately documented. Sustainable methodologies are transparent and reproducible. Every stage of the research process should be clearly described so that others can follow the procedures with confidence. Replication should not depend on informal conversations, personal notes, or undocumented assumptions. Instead, the methodology should stand on its own as a complete and understandable framework. Building a sustainable research methodology. Developing a sustainable methodology requires researchers to think beyond the immediate study and consider the long-term usability of their work. Sustainable research is characterized by consistency, transparency, adaptability, and efficiency. It minimizes dependence on individual effort while maximizing the ability of others to understand, evaluate, and replicate the findings. As researchers, we must identify the invisible friction points where manual data cleaning, inconsistent documentation, and fragile procedures threaten the long-term viability of our studies. By replacing ad hoc practices with standardized systems, we create methodologies capable of supporting future research, surviving rigorous peer review, and contributing meaningful knowledge to the scholarly community. Ultimately, a sustainable methodology is not simply one that works today, it is one that continues to produce reliable, credible, and reproducible results tomorrow, next year, and for future generations of researchers. So what I am saying is, keep an eye on your topic. This is your first research. Do not try to fix the world. Subscribe, like, and share. See you in the next class.